bottle of beer. Yes, it quenches the thirst of the beer drinker, but there is also a tax on each bottle. There is a tax on each bottle of Pepsi-Cola, of soda. Those products are taxed. And that's how the government gets revenue. Now, by 1986, because the factories had all closed, there were no goods in the shops, but also the government was not collecting taxes. I can tell you that in 1986, the government collected only 5 billion shillings as tax. This is something I always tell people, you print these sheets, the tax collection from 1986 up to now, year by year, so that all these are educated people, they can follow, they can read for themselves. But in 1986, we collected only 5 billion shillings for the whole country. Today, we are collecting 20,000 billion. So from 5 billion to 20,000 billion. Now, so we are now collecting one, and why are we collecting more? Because the factories have opened, new ones have come up, hotels have been built. But we don't only have salaries to deal with. We must deal with so many things. Deal with security, fund the army and the police, fund the construction of the schools, fund the roads. Many of you have come from up country. Those from Karamoja know that from Moroto now to Kampala you have got a tarmac road, which was never there before. The ones from Kitgum know that from Musingo, on the border with Sudan, to Kampala you have got a tarmac road. Those from Nimule know that from Nimule up to Kampala you have got a tarmac road. Those from West Nile, you know that from Oraba all the way to Kampala you have got a tarmac road. From Chisoro, from Busunga in Bundubujo, from Mpondwe, from Murongo on the Tanzanian border, from Mutugu. The tarmac roads have crossed the whole country from north to south, east to west. This is because God gives you opportunity to bring up children whom you did not produce yourself. This is a very big responsibility, but also a trap. It is a trap, it is a temptation, because if you do not do the work God gave you, if you think you are cheating the children, and you are not teaching them properly, and you are not doing what you are supposed to do, Liso Dene, the big eye of God is on you. So, it is both a blessing but a trap. Because when you play around with it, because those children you are not teaching properly are God's children. Are God's children. And God is the one who said, you go and bring up my children. And for you go there, you think you are cheating the government, you are cheating the Ministry of Education, you are cheating the parents, but the big-eyed one is looking at you. And I'm telling you this because I've been here for the last 59 years, of course, even earlier. But when we got independence, when we became responsible for ourselves, it was in 1962. But even before that, we had teachers. And I can tell you, teachers who did their work devotedly, God always rewarded them. I've been watching this. Unfortunately, the issue was mixed up today because I would have told you the whole story about early childhood education. We could call pre-primary with the teachers who were not graded. It was called 1B, class 1B. It was not primary one proper. This was in 1952. I was there for 2 terms because my parents didn't know when the school year starts. They brought me in second term. They did not know that the school had already started. And there, we were being taught by teachers who had no grading. Then, from primary 1, 1953, I started having teachers who are called vernacular teachers. And those teachers were teaching so well those issues which were before them that time, which was school picture. The first lesson would be school picture. Then the second one would be arithmetic. Then the third one would be, I think they had introduced a study called nature study. Nature study, which is like science, especially biology and botany. And those teachers were teaching those elementary subjects very well and systematically and devotedly. Although, of course, they had also a tendency to be harsh and beat children, which is a lot of nonsense. But they were devoted. Then, and those ones took us from primary 1 to primary 4, the vernacular people. Then after that, I started seeing people whom they said had grade 2 teaching certificate. These were in the primary 5 and primary 6. Because at that time the school system was ending in primary 6. Then you go to what they were calling junior secondary. In junior secondary, we started encountering teachers who had done grade 3. There were only 2, there was actually one school initially, one center, training the grade 3. This was Kyambogo. Later on, they added another one. I think it was Gaba, and another one. They started talking of 2 or 3. Otherwise, by 1959, when I went to what they were calling junior secondary 1, the only source of grade 3 teachers was Kyambogo. The others were added later. Gaba was added later. I think Shimoni also was added later. And Boroboro. Boroboro, you could go there. You could upgrade from grade 2 to grade 3. And then, when we went to what they were calling because then you would spend 2 or 3 years in the junior secondary cluster. Then you got the senior secondary, where we started encountering teachers of diplomas and degrees. Now, what I want to tell you is that these devoted teachers, who are not very highly educated, but because they mastered the smaller part which was given to them, they made a very good foundation for us. Because at that time, there were, if you take, for instance, English, there were books which were written. The first one was called Oxford Reader, Book 1. That one you would encounter in P3, primary 3. Before that, they would just be teaching you verbally from their notebooks. But in P3, you would start getting Oxford Reader, Book 1. And then I think it was like in P5, you would get Oxford Reader, Book 2. And then you would get, later on, there was, I think, also Book 4, or something like that, Oxford Reader. And each of those categories was introducing you to some new topics. For instance, by primary 6, we would start writing what they were calling composition, that you sit down and you compose a story. While before, it was verbs and how to construct sentences and punctuation and so on. So, those teachers can teach very well. What they taught me at that time, I know them, some of them are still alive, like Mr. Kanyarwanda is still alive. Mr. Azaria Ikurewene is still alive. Mzee Chukuri died not so long ago. So those simple teachers taught people who became very big. Amen. You have got an opportunity, but also you are in danger. Because if you connaissa, you know it. Connaissa, to undercook the children who are under you. Connaissa, is it undercooking or miscooking? If you miscook the children under you, you are really giving yourself a terrible chisirani. If you feel you can't teach, please, I advise you. Tell the ministry, please, I cannot teach. I've got so many temptations, let me go away. I beg you for your own good. Don't go there and pretend to teach when you are not teaching. You will get very bad results for yourself. I have been seeing this. I would have to write such a letter to you, explaining to you the steps we are taking. And I will send each teacher my own signed letter involving the logic. The public service in Uganda, starting with the teachers and with the medical workers and with the soldiers and policemen and other public servants, will in the end get very good salary. But the question was, I can see some of you are not so young. when I look through the audience, I can see some of my older children. And you know what became of Uganda? Uganda, your country had collapsed. Your country had collapsed. You know that very well. Those who are old enough, by 1986, they know that we didn't even have salt, we didn't have soap, we didn't have sugar, we didn't have paraffin. Those goods were being called essential commodities. So, the first task of your government, now, why were there shortages? There were shortages because there were no factories making those products. All the factories had closed. But if the factories have closed, then you don't only lack commodities, the government also does not collect tax. Because the government collects tax from products. If you produce a bottle of beer, I don't drink beer myself, but I don't mind getting some tax from beer drinkers. To 8.8 million, whatever the figure is. Then you need more teachers. And that's why we had to hire more teachers. So the question was, do we pay better the few who are there? Because if you are only 85,000, by now you'll be getting very good money, all of you. But how about your children? So that means you would concentrate on only the 2.5 million children who are in the primary school system. And we forget the other 7 million. But you remember, God, what will God say? When we go there and he says, you didn't educate my children because you are trying to pay very well the few who are in the school, what will I say? I don't want to go to Gehenna. Being funded by money. Out of the 20,000 billion we are collecting, 6,000 billion is going on the roads. If you look on the budget. And that's why I would like your headquarters here, the ministry, to give you the tax collection, but also the expenditure. Where does the money go? Works, which means roads, and so on and so forth. So that everybody can see, because you are all educated people. You can read for yourself. So that's why it takes a little bit of time to really pay very well, fulfill the wish of the NRM to pay very well the public servants the way we would like to do it. Because we have got other things to deal with. It's not just and the more you deal with the other things, for instance, electricity. When you deal with electricity, then you attract more factories. Then because you have attracted more factories, in the end you collect more money, more taxes. Now, if you forget to develop electricity or work on the roads, and you only pay salaries, how will the new factories come up? You are Banyangwele call it Okwete Rendobo. You know I'm a footballer also. When you hurt your own leg, like this, you hurt your own leg. You are injuring yourself. So that's why it takes a little bit of time. But there was also another problem. The problem of the Banyankole say, and the Minyingi it kuruzob shera. Many tongues spoil the broth. When we started collecting a bit more money, then people started demanding, I should be paid more, I should be paid more. Some, like Parliament, were using the Constitution to pay themselves more.